So before I came to Korea for the first time, I understood that being a foreigner in general was going to be shocking for Korean people, but particularly being a brown-skinned foreigner was going to be a bit shocking. So I wanted to know what I was getting myself into, and I watched tons of videos about people being black in Korea, which I'm sure this video will be titled. Some people scared me half to death. Some people made me super excited. So I guess I'll just tell you what my experience has been living in a small city versus living in Seoul. Living in Suncheon, well, first of all, my boss, when I worked at my hagwon, specifically requested that the teacher that took the position was either a black or like a Middle Eastern female, particularly Indian or something, because she had had bad experiences with white foreigners. I'm not sure what exactly had happened. And then she had had a good experience with a black foreign girl and an Indian foreign girl. So when I went there, I went at least with a boss that was willing and accepting of having me as an employee, which was great. Coworkers were used to it. Children were used to seeing brown skin. So I didn't have issues there. The Korean population of Suncheon. And Suncheon is a smaller city, like in the province. It's maybe a little over 2,000, somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 people live here. It's basically the countryside. But so I was really kind of nervous. I really wanted to go to Seoul because I thought that living in a bigger city, it would be more comfortable for many reasons. But, you know, I was like, give it a shot. Most foreigners, why do I keep saying foreigners? Most Koreans were actually really accepting. I was shocked. I thought that it would cause more of a sensation seeing me walk down the street, like a negative sensation. Most of the reactions I got would be from older people and little, very young children. Little kids, they see that you're brown and automatically they think that you're African. So a lot of kids would come up to me and be like, "Oh, Africa, Africa." And I'd be like, "No, I'm American," or "Miguk saram." And because, of course, for them, there's only one type of American, but I won't get into that. But so yeah, so they were really excited sometimes. My kids were really curious about my skin. Sometimes I'd be sitting at the table with them, reviewing something or grading a test, and I'd just feel little fingers stroking my skin or something, which I didn't have a problem with. Or they'd have their hands in my hair. Again, I didn't have a problem with because I knew it was new for them. Older people, for the most part, older people just stare. You get oh right, I'll get to that one. But for the most part, older people just stare. They're kind of non-shameful in that, where they don't really care. They're just, you'll be on the bus or you'll be in a store and they're just again really right. Like sometimes it's judgmental staring, sometimes it's just curiosity. Again, I don't really say anything because they don't bother me. But one time we were in a Daiso, which is like a dollar store type thing. And Sarah and I were walking around, and I noticed that this old lady and her friend, this Ajima, is following us. I don't really, say anything, because what am I going to do? She can follow me if she wants to. But we're standing in line, and I see her out the corner of my eye looking, and she's talking to her friend. She's looking at me, and she says something in Korean. And at this point, our Korean is about this big. So we're not exactly sure what she wants. But Sarah like nods, and I'm kind of just sitting there like, I don't know what's going on. And so then her hand just starts to rise, and she touches my hair. And I'm just like, oh, so that's what you wanted. They were really curious about my curly hair. Same thing, I was walking to school one day, and this woman says, "Moriga ipuda," and I'm just like, oh. So some like older people, they thought that it was, I guess, pretty, my hair or whatever. They thought I was pretty. And that would be cool, but most people like who are teenagers all the way up to like 30s, 40s, they really don't, they're not really that shocked, they're not that put off. They might be, if you're walking down the street and, they turn and see you because they're not expecting to see anyone who isn't Korean, but it's not enough to like, stop traffic or to be a problem. I was never bullied, I was never made to feel uncomfortable in this small town. I really enjoyed my experience. Everyone was really warm and welcoming. Business owners, super cool. You know, it got to the point where we developed relationships with business owners. They were happy to see us. We were happy to see them. People would bring their children up to me asking, you know, to speak to them, to be able to have conversations, because of course they're spending all this money sending their kids to Hagwon. So it's like, there's a foreigner, you better speak English to them. But for the most part, everyone is super, super kind. I can't, off the top of my head, recall any moment of feeling an otherness in a negative way in Suncheon. Seoul, same thing. Almost in a sense, it's kind of different, because in the smaller cities, you know, I heard people would say, like, you kind of have that, like, celebrity-esque feel. And I kind of felt that sometimes, where it's like people would, you know, react like, oh, there's a foreigner. In Seoul, they see foreigners everywhere. We live in Itaewon. They see foreigners everywhere. To an extent, it's not that big of a deal, but then sometimes we'll be on the subway and it is a big deal. People will be staring, and I'm just like, this is strange, because we're still in a major part of the city where foreigners congregate. So I'm always wondering why sometimes it is a thing in Seoul. There again, most people just stare. They don't really talk to you. Every now and then, depending on what we're wearing or what we look like or what we're doing, younger people will say something. They'll say hi or whatever.
The guys on the subway who tried to figure out how to piece together an English
Oh, yeah, like sometimes you'll see people and they'll look at you, and then you'll see, like, with their friends, they're trying to, like, put together, like, the little bit of Hagwon English that they learned in, like, middle school or whatever, to try and figure out how to, like, say something to you. We work with adults now. Last year we worked with children, so this year we work with adults. So again, it's one of those things where, you know, you get to a certain age, you're not going to freak out about the weird or the extraordinary. You're just kind of gonna go with it. But I've come to realize, and this has been an issue, not an issue, but like something that I've had to come to terms with for the last couple of weeks, is that I've had this confirmed by old friends, new friends, and even my parents, that sometimes my face looks a little hard, to the point that it looks like that I'm not really, like I'm sad all the time, or that I'm angry. Kind of, I mean, if you're watching this and you want to know what it's like to be black in Korea, you probably understand the angry black person, like, stereotype. And I fit into that many times, because, look, I don't look like I want to talk to you, right? And that's the thing, is that my normal face makes people think that I'm scary, and it sucks, because sometimes, you know, when I'm walking with Sarah, sitting with Sarah, she always looks happy or bubbly, so people are afraid to approach her. But with me, if I'm alone,
I wish they were.
I kind of have, like, my mean mug one. So it's the thing, like, and I noticed it even with my students, that when people first meet me, they're intimidated. They really are. They're probably scared, obviously, because I'm an English speaker, and that because I look a little angry. But there again, as people get to know me, they understand that I'm quite possibly the least terrifying person of all, and that there's no reason to be afraid. So that kind of has been a small problem, not really that big of a problem. It kind of works to my advantage, because there again, ajumas, ajishis, I've been touched maybe once or twice. They don't move me physically out of the way. They might bump into me, but they don't put their hands on me to touch me, to move me, or do anything like that. So that's good. Like, and I don't care where that lack of wanting to touch me comes from, because I don't want to be touched.
Again.
Sorry. Right? Like, unlike poor Sarah, who gets manhandled. What else about being black in Korea? Like I said, for the most part, like, I haven't experienced anything 100% negative. If you're looking to date someone, it's probably going to be really difficult, because there again, for some reason, it's very common to see Korean girls walking around with white guys or black guys. Korean girls are very open to dating outside of their race, and I think it mostly comes down to the fact that being with a foreigner is like a status symbol. Foreigners are always presumed to be wealthy. So if you're dating a foreign guy, then he has a lot of money that he can spend on you, what have you. I don't want to speak so generally, because I'm sure many interracial couples are because they love each other, but at the same time, some of them are not. Men, on the other hand, is an entirely different story. Like Sarah said in the other video, there have been like the ajishis who will scratch your palm, and that's supposed to apparently be an international symbol for I want to go to bed with you. So there will be like the older men who are a little bit more forward. And that's the thing. Men who are above the age of 40 are typically very forward. Even my coworker last year, he was very forward with how he felt about me and how he didn't mind telling me that I was pretty or whatever. That's, you know, and that's the attention that you're like, it's great, but I wish that you were about 10 to 15 years younger than you are. Korean guys who are in their late 20s are, number one, they're going to be intimidated because their English probably isn't going to be as strong as yours, clearly, as a native speaker. Also, they have pressure from their family to marry a Korean girl. Koreans are very much about keeping it all in the family, in a sense, the giant Korean family. You know, they're not exactly ecstatic about their kids marrying outside of their race. And that's just even applies to other Asians, like to marry a Japanese girl. I've asked some of my male students and they're like, no, it's not an option. So in the event that, I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. I'm sure there are Korean guys who are open to it, but just remember that you're not just dating this guy. You're going to have to become a part of his family, and his family's going to have to accept you. So although I don't have any experience with this yet, I understand to an extent what is going to be asked and what's going to be expected of you or me. So if that's something that you're interested in, just keep that in mind, that Korean guys feel a little bit more responsibility towards pleasing their family than maybe a Korean American or just an American in general would feel. My hair looks a little busted right now. I'm gonna wash it like literally after I finish this video. There are tons, like I said, we live in Itaewon. There are tons of hair salons. In Itaewon, the McDonald's down the street, there are ladies that walk around with cards that do braiding, weaves, relaxers, what have you. So if you're freaking out about that, don't worry. I would shop around, ask people though. I've been looking at pictures on Facebook about people not being too pleased with the services they get, but I'm sure if you like join like Brothers and Sisters of South Korea that they can steer you in the right direction. Like I said, I'm natural. I've been natural for almost 2 years. I don't really let anyone touch my hair. I do my hair myself. I wash it myself. I'm trying to get more into using all natural products. So I found that some companies will mail to South Korea. Of course, you're going to pay an arm and a leg for shipping, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. There are some stores, I know in Itaewon, that like sell relaxers, sell different hair products, herbal essences. If you're into that, they sell like really any kind of shampoo. Like you won't have issues finding shampoo and conditioner. But if you're looking for certain products that are more catered to like African American hair, then there again, because of like the import tax, you're going to be paying a little bit more. So either
to add this, you should add this, even though you're not pasty pale like me. If you are white like this, finding makeup is going to be really
okay, yeah. So there again with like finding hair products, if there's something specific that you really like, then you need to bring it or work out a system where someone at home can ship it to you, because it'll be hella expensive here, or you're gonna have to pay taxes to ship it. Makeup, if you're very brown, clearly, or you are very pale or fair skin, as Sarah is, you're gonna have a really hard time finding makeup. I don't even bother trying to find foundation or powder or concealer because I know that there's no chance in heck that I'm gonna be able to find anything. Sarah, it's a crazy manhunt for her to try and find something that fits her complexion. And even the lightest color isn't light enough for her. Because Korean girls, even though some are really, really pale, and that's kind of like the aesthetic, like the most beautiful aesthetic, most Korean women aren't that pale. So a lot of them have olive undertone, or like they're really pinky or something. I don't know. But it's going to be difficult. So if you're a girl that wears makeup, again, buy your makeup. If you're a girl like me who has big feet, don't worry. You'll be able to find shoes. They're Aldo if you're into spending all that money for shoes. They just opened a Payless in Myeongdong, which is like a big shopping district. So you should be able to find shoes. I have a little trouble still because there again, every foreign girl that is either a teacher or in the military goes to these places and has a size 9 foot and they buy all the shoes. So it's kind of difficult. So bring shoes, bring underwear, bras are difficult. I have small boobs, but I have friends who don't, right? And they have troubles. So bring bras.
I don't know how she...
Really. So, there again, for the most part, I hope that I answered everything. Like I said, everyone's experience with being Black is different. Try and learn the language. It really impresses people. Try all the foods that you can. It impresses them. As long as you try, I don't want to say to necessarily assimilate to the point that you neglect your culture, but assimilate enough to the point that you're not being difficult will help you. Always try to be happy, try to smile, try to be open, trying things, and it'll make people less afraid. I guess afraid isn't the best word, but it'll make people, it'll impress them and it'll make them proud. Koreans, I've been told, love to be told that their culture is great. And if you're enthusiastic about it, then you shouldn't have any problems making friends or just talking to people or, putting a smile on someone's face. So yes, I hope I answered any questions you have. If you don't, just comment and I will try my hardest to do that. So yeah, okay, bye.